You need 5 new defensive starters. You need a new defensive coordinator. And by the way, that defensive coordinator has to be able to defend the Shanahan-style offense. Washington's defense yesterday was all-time bad for this year. All-time. Look, I don't know what we're going to do when this season is over. There's going to be some comparatives to previous defenses. God, we have not had good defense around here in forever. I mean, a couple of here and there years, but God, it's been the issue over and over again. Even with bad quarterbacks, it wasn't usually good enough. 2022's defense was pretty good. Yeah, it was a special kind of bad yesterday considering the opponent. I'll tell you, if we go anywhere in our offseason conversations before getting to you need 5 new defensive starters, you need a new defensive coordinator, and by the way, that defensive coordinator has to be able to defend the Shanahan-style offense. Okay, we've talked about this all year. We talked about Quinn having a difficult time in his career as a defensive coordinator and head coach with Shanahan-style offenses. Let's just take this year. Week 2 against the Packers, Matt LaFleur, 27 points. Week 4 against the Falcons, Zach Robinson, 34 points. Best offensive day of the year for the Falcons came against Washington. Clint Kubiak, Seattle, 38 points. Mike McDaniel, Miami. Look, they only scored 16 points. They were in the red zone 5 times in that game. And then yesterday, Kevin O'Connell, after literally not being able to score and having a quarterback that couldn't find his backside with both hands, moved the ball up and down the field and scored 31 points. So the defense is the focus in the offseason. I know that there are needs on offense too, but you can't be this bad on defense in the NFL and hope to win anything of note. Last year, they did it because they played a lot of bad offensive teams. Now, they didn't play a bad offensive team in the first round of the playoffs. That's for sure. But they gave up 31 points in that game, but they turned over Goff 5 times, 4 times, 5 times, whatever it was, 4 times. Was it 5 turnovers for Detroit in the playoff game or 4? That's going to nag at me. Just look it up for me. I think it was 5, actually. I think it was 5 turnovers. I don't know where else to start the offseason conversations. I know some of you are going to want to start with, we'll fire everybody first, and then that's not what's going to happen. It's not what should happen, but it's got to be a much better. I know this isn't the era of defensive football, although this year's proving differently right now, but yeah, they're miserable on defense, and I get it. I've been sitting here screaming about it all year. They're without their top 3 defensive ends, their top 2 corners. I get it. It doesn't explain everything. Got to find a coordinator that can scheme it up against what is pretty prevalent in today's game. A lot of Shanahan-style offenses because they can't check any of them. Look, the defense was not alone in its poor performance yesterday. The offense, I thought, looked completely bamboozled and frazzled and borderline unprepared for Brian Flores' pressures. Maybe that's Cliff. Maybe that's Jaden, who didn't execute pre-snap. Marcus Mariota didn't execute pre-snap. Maybe it's the center, Tyler Biadasz. I don't have the answers to that. I'll concede that right now. But Minnesota blitzes. It's what they do. They also faux blitz. They show blitz, and you have to figure it out. It was one of the reasons I thought this opponent was a good test for the offense being back together for the first time this year and being healthy, because there was going to be a lot to figure out. Brian Flores and that defense is good. We talked about it. They're number 1 in blitz percentage. They're 3rd in hurry percentage. They're really top, 5 to 12 in a lot of defensive categories. You knew this was going to be a test going in, but God, they were not prepared. It didn't seem like. Didn't have a handle on either the rush that came or the rush that looked like it was coming. And then what are you doing when you're rushing 8 yards per carry with Rodriguez on the opening drive of the game? You're not even needing Jaden in the run game to produce 5 carries for 39 yards. That is just short of 8 yards per carry, and you're first and goal at the 4, and you run the football, and then you throw it 3 times. What are we doing? You're not going to use Jaden in the designed run or the zone run scheme. I don't think there was a plan for that. I mean, they only had the ball 4 times, so it's hard to know exactly what they would have gotten to eventually had they had the ball more. But I like Cliff. I was like, he ran the ball one more time that half. Now, there was something that they did at halftime to come out in the third quarter differently that I'll give him some credit for, but how do you he had just run 15 yards from the 20 to the 4, or 19 to the 4, 2 yards to the 2. It can't hold up, and you go to a trick play that doesn't work. You go to another throw, and then a 4th and goal throw. I mean, I guess if they had scored on one of those throws, there wouldn't have been a complaint. But that's what you risk. When you're running it at nearly 8 yards per carry and you decide not to run it anymore, you risk getting criticized for play calling. Yeah. Look, I'm a Cliff guy, but against that pass rush, I didn't think that they looked ready for it. And maybe they were, and maybe it's on the quarterback. Maybe it's on the center. Who knows? Maybe it was on a back not picking up a certain block. Maybe it was on Jaden thinking the pressure was coming, and it wasn't, and panicking a little bit. I've got a couple of those plays. But when you're having success running the football, let's at least keep it as somewhat part of the attack. And he didn't until the third quarter. Get to that coming up as well. So, look, I am going to tell you about Jaden's game, almost play by play, but give you the good plays, the bad plays, the other plays. I won't bury the lead. It wasn't great, clearly, but it wasn't anywhere near the worst of yesterday. I do think that 4th and 3 interception down 14-0, and I do think it was a check. I could be wrong, but if you watch that play from the moment they come out of the huddle to everything that happens pre-snap, it looks like he checks to the screen. I don't know what the other call was, but you can't check to a screen when Van Ginkel's on the side that you're going to be throwing the screen. That tells me they weren't prepared for number 43. And that is disgraceful because he's one of the best, if not the best in the league at doing what he did on that play. He has the best anticipatory talent in the league. He is aggressive and just makes these plays all the time. Made one against us in 2023 with the Dolphins. So if Jaden checked to that screen to Van Ginkel's side on 4th and 3, horrible decision. But he had some really good plays in the game, too.